Hello everyone, welcome to another Chosen Ones live video. In this one I do have a very interesting topic, something that I've brushed on in past videos, but I'd like to go deeper into it in this one. We're talking about how society has become a hateful, dark place. I'm sure many of you who are watching this, from what you've seen, you feel the same way. You see the same things of how society has become. It's gotten to a point where 1 in 6 people are narcissists. And of course, that doesn't include all of the other personality disorders and mental illnesses. It doesn't include toxic people. And it's like your own family members, your next door neighbor, even your own boss might be a narcissist. 1 in 20 CEOs are psychopaths. And then, of course, there may be many other CEOs who are sociopaths or just your standard narcissist. Narcissists are everywhere in the world today, and many of them are in positions of power. They're the ones who are running this place. And so many people these days, they do not respect the law. They do not respect other people. I mean, as Dr. Ramani said in one of her videos that I was watching recently, of how she sees that there's a lot of narcissists on the roads these days, that narcissism is linked to road rage, that I've seen that a lot myself. Narcissists just do not even respect society or the laws that we have. They feel entitled to do whatever they want and to treat people however they choose to. So you see them on the road and they're always going over the speed limit. Maybe if they get pulled over, they get fined, then they will bribe the traffic officer. Because these narcissists, many of them are in positions of power. Many of them have connections with the law enforcement, with police or judges, so they always manage to get around it. But some of you may think, how can people not see that many of these narcissists, they're the ones who are in powerful positions. They're often very successful people. And you may wonder, how can't people see that? When actually, it's more that most people that are in positions of power are narcissists. And they're all connected with each other. And they all feel entitled to do whatever they want to do. And it does appear as though people who are actually good, the people who actually care about this world that we live in, they don't tend to be very successful because they're not willing to step on other people in order to get ahead. Narcissists are, especially sociopaths and psychopaths. They're willing to do whatever they have to do to get to where they want to be. And that's exactly what we see in the world today, where it's mostly narcissists that are running the show. And not only that, but it must mean, if we look at statistics, going back to the 1970s, empathy has greatly been on the decline since then. And it's gotten to the point where now only 1 to 2% of the world's population are empaths, while 1 in 6 people are narcissists. And another statistic I've seen states that 96% of families in the world are dysfunctional. So all of these statistics suggest that, especially since the 1970s, since the feminist movement, narcissists have been populating this world more than anyone else. They're the ones who are having families, having children, who they also raise to be narcissists just like themselves. That's what these statistics reveal. And that makes a lot of sense because a child is an excellent source of supply for a narcissist. It's an extension of them. And they can use it as this object that exists to serve them until they feel like no one cares about them, and then they have to become a narcissist as well. Narcissists, they want what pretty much anyone else would want. They want to have marriages, children. They want to have a good job, a business, lots of money, a big house, a nice car. They want all of these things. But for them, it's more for the feeling for themselves and creating this image, this false image that makes them look good. It makes them look like they're someone who you should admire and respect, when actually no, they've done a lot of bad things to get to where they are. And this is the problem that many of us are experiencing, especially in relationships, where you meet someone and it seems like they could be the perfect relationship partner for you, but they seem like they're hardworking. It seems like they've got a good family and they work hard, they make good money, they have a nice house. It seems like they've got everything together, and you may feel like you're about that as well. You're about having a family, a future, working hard, making money so that you can provide for them. But then time goes by and you realize that actually this person is a crook. This person is actually very corrupt. And they don't care about anyone but themselves, and they were just using you so that they could get ahead. And unfortunately, that's the way that most people in the world are today. They're only in it for themselves. They're not about building anything with someone else. But then it has gotten to the point where empaths in the world today are very rare. And now what we do see are a lot of narcissists who are in relationships together. That's how we often see smear campaigns as well, and flying monkeys, where they all seem to be narcissistic. And then they typically bond over an external target's destruction. I mean, it's pretty clear what these statistics reveal. Especially since the 1970s, a lot of good people, a lot of empaths have been targeted. They've been destroyed. And narcissists have elevated. And now they're in positions of power. And that's how the world is very unfair, and a lot of people are struggling. And the two most common illnesses in the world are mental illnesses, depression and anxiety. So it all links together. It all makes a lot of sense. And I guess the biggest problem is that people just don't care about each other. Most people these days, they would choose money and power over love. And if they see an opportunity to betray someone in order to get what they want, I'm sure most people in the world today, they would do it. And they wouldn't think anything of it. And that's how everything's very different these days. There used to be a time when you could just leave your front door open, knowing that no one's going to come in, no one's going to steal your stuff, or no one's going to take your child out of your own house. It's very different these days. Now you've got to have alarms, you've got to have locks on your door, you've got to have CCTV, because you never know what people might do. Just remember that Madeleine McCann case. I think it was in Spain. Someone came onto their property and kidnapped their own daughter, who they haven't seen since, and they don't know what happened to her. And that isn't uncommon. I'm not sure what the exact figures are, but in the US, from what I recall, there are millions of unsolved missing child cases in the US alone. And in the UK, in England and Wales, there's over 600,000 unsolved cases of child sexual abuse. And I'm not just trying to be negative or pessimistic. I'm giving you the cold, hard facts, statistics of how things actually are. But sometimes when you talk about these things, people just say to be positive. And that really is toxic positivity. When you look at how things are and how they used to be, and what direction we're going in. And it's no surprise when you look around in the world, everyone is miserable. And they're either miserable because of things that have been done to them, or they're miserable because of things that they've done which they haven't been held accountable for. And this is everywhere in the world today. It really is. But then it also poses another problem as well, because even if things are more secure and we have more police, more security, that doesn't mean that things are going to be better. More control means less freedom. And I'm sure we can all agree that our freedom is going to be linked to our happiness. So, where do we go from here? When we have these narcissists, these predators everywhere, and then if there's more police and more control, then that means less freedom, decreased happiness, and not only that, many police are narcissists as well. Police, judges, lawyers, entrepreneurs, politicians, they're everywhere. They seek positions of power. That's what they want. They want to be in control, but they don't care about anyone but themselves. And that is the problem. So what is the answer for us? I mean, I can talk all day about how society has become this hateful, dark place, but what do we do? And I would say that the only answer is to leave society. Because as long as we're in it, we're going to be around narcissists. If 1 in 6 people are narcissists, you're going to have them living on your street. They're going to be at your job. It could be your co-workers or your boss. They could be in your own family. And sometimes you will know, sometimes you won't. But one thing we do know is that they are everywhere. And there's far more of them than people realize. And yet, it's like we want to focus on these celebrities. There's all of this publicity around certain people, whether it's Donald Trump, Amber Heard, Meghan Markle. But what about everyone else? If we're focusing all of our attention just on these small number of people, then we're not paying attention to all of the other narcissists out there, especially the ones that could be living right next door to you, and you're not even aware of it because you're too busy focusing on the celebrities that are narcissists that could be on the other side of the world. But I think this is a part of the brainwashing the media likes to use. They want to make you focus on just one thing, whether it's on the news, on YouTube, or whatever it is. And then you just forget about everything that's going on around you. There's plenty of these narcissists in your own city. They are everywhere. So what do we do about it? We have to leave society behind. If you want to avoid these narcissists, you have to live off the grid. You have to get away from it all. You have to live somewhere where there's not so many people, because that's a big part of it, is with the population constantly rising, it seems that there are now becoming more and more narcissists. And it's very difficult to get away from them. So we've got to live off the grid. We've got to live off the land. That's really the only way. There is no other way. Unless, of course, you have some suggestions. I'd love to hear from you. But I would say that the only way is to live off the grid, from what I know so far. And of course, as you know, I've been traveling the world and I've seen it everywhere. Wherever I go, I've seen narcissists. And of course, traveling around, you see it all. But what I also saw was that when I went off the grid, when I went into the countryside, in most countries that I went to, I won't say all, but most of them, and not in every single part of the countryside, but in many of them, I did notice a huge difference in several countries. Very different atmosphere, very different energy. It was like as soon as I got there, I could finally breathe. It's like my throat began to relax. I no longer felt so much pressure. I no longer felt like I was constantly being watched, and you know how people are like pocket watching and just seeing what you've got, seeing what they can take from you. When I went out into the countryside, it wasn't like that. It was a much better vibe. Of course, that doesn't mean that there are no narcissists out there. I'm sure there are. But there's not going to be as many as in the city. Although what you may find is that when you're in the countryside, they may be more concentrated if it's in a smaller space. But narcissists are going to stand out a lot more in the countryside, because in the city, it's become normalized. It's normal for someone to be a narcissist in the city now. But that really is the answer. For those of you who are experiencing so much stress, so many problems from dealing with narcissists, the answer is just to walk away, to leave society behind. But also, I think we can already predict that if all of the empaths, they all go and live off the grid, of course, narcissists in the cities, many of them are going to follow us. All of these narcissists, they're not just going to stay together on their own in the city. They want to be around us. They want to extract from us. And that's very clear because from the statistics, just look at how empaths these days are now very rare. It reveals that many narcissists have been destroyed. Many empaths have been destroyed. They've had their lives ruined. If that was not true, then where are they now? Where are the empaths now? Why are only 1 to 2% of the world's population empaths? And why aren't there any in positions of power? If there were, then I think this world would be much better. But no, instead what we have is just most people in the world who only care about themselves. They don't care about anyone else. And this is why you go on YouTube and you see all of the views on these videos about narcissists. There are billions of views. And that's just on YouTube, not including TikTok or other platforms. So quite clearly, people feel like they're not being heard. They feel like no one is worrying about them. No one cares about what they're going through. And that's very sad. Because when you think about it, when you look back, wasn't that the whole point of it all? Wasn't that the whole point of developing these communities and these cities? Wasn't it meant to make life better for us? And yet it seems that it has done the opposite. It's made things a lot worse. But don't worry about me. I mean, I'm speaking more for the people who aren't being heard and they're going through something. I mean, as many of you can probably see from my Instagram, I've been having a great time myself, traveling around, exploring different countries, and I'm very grateful for that. I'm very grateful for all of your contributions, all of your support. That doesn't mean that life has been perfect for me. Of course, I've been going through things as well. I've dealt with many narcissists along my way, as I mentioned. But this is more about giving people a voice. It's just a shame that most people in this world, they do only care about themselves. And that's why the world is the way it is today. There's so much poverty. I think it's like something like 1/3 of the world is starving to death. And then it's like 90% of the world in poverty. This is the state of the world today. And then there's like 300 billion animals being killed every day for food. Now that doesn't make any sense. How can there be 300 billion animals killed every year? And then we can't feed 8 billion people. But that's how it is. Those are the statistics. The majority of the world's wealth is shared among just several hundred people. And if those several hundred people, if they gave just 1% of their wealth to the rest of the world, it would change everything for everyone. Everyone would have enough money. Everyone would have enough food to eat. And I say that because I know if I was in their position, that's exactly what I would do. And in fact, I would probably do a lot more than that. But I tell you who I do really like on YouTube is Mr. Beast. I like how he gives away things and he helps people. But just look at how many views he gets as well. I mean, isn't that crazy? He's the first YouTuber now to reach 300 million subscribers. And all he's doing is he's just giving away things. He's giving away cars and money. And he's doing other things as well. He's giving away houses. He's planted thousands of trees around the world. And to a lot of people, this is a big thing. It's shocking. It's highly entertaining. And while, of course, I do appreciate what Mr. Beast does, I support his work. He seems like a good guy. And of course, he deserves everything that he earns, although I think he did say that he does invest most of what he earns back into his work. But I thought it's interesting that that's what's made him famous. When it's like, shouldn't that just be human nature? Shouldn't that just be what we naturally want to do? Is to give away things and help people, give them money, if we have enough to give. But no, in fact, the reason how Mr. Beast has become so popular and achieved 300 million subscribers is because most people in the world are not doing that. Most people in this world are all about just consuming and accumulating things for themselves. And I can tell you that does not bring you happiness. Happiness comes from giving. And our value, what makes a high value person, is not by everything that you consume and accumulate for yourself. Your value is based on what you give. Now that doesn't mean that you just have to give everything away. I'm not saying that, of course. I'm saying that people who have been fortunate, or even if they worked hard in life, they should naturally desire to give something back. I mean, think about it. If you were born into a wonderful community, family that took good care of you, and all of the services in this world, we got the hospitals, the police force that's there to protect you, or supposed to at least, the education system. We've got all of these things, all of this value that's coming to us when otherwise we would just be out in the wilderness and we'd just be on our own. So you would think that these people who do become successful in this world, you'd think that they would naturally desire to give something back. Of course, those of you, it's understandable if you had narcissistic family, if you weren't treated well by society, then of course you don't owe society anything. And if anything, they owe you. And I think a lot of people, after what I've spoken about in past videos, I was sexually abused by people in my own family at the ages of 4, 10, and 14 years old. Also physically abused as well, and financially abused later on in life. I was even physically abused by my own teachers in school. And you would think that after all of that happening to me and without any support, you'd think I'd be the last person who would have wanted to have given anything back to the world, but here I am on YouTube every day making these videos, giving people advice who are dealing with narcissists and toxic people. And also I've given a lot back by supporting businesses and attractions in many different countries on Google reviews and on my Instagram as well. And of course, I've invested a lot of money. We've raised rather, on the cause on my YouTube, we've raised $900 for the children in Gaza so that they can have food and medical supplies. And for me, I just feel like that's naturally what we should do. That we should support each other. I mean, that's the whole point of having communities and cities. That was the whole purpose of it. But now these narcissists have come in and they've just made it all about themselves. It's all about just accumulating things that don't even make them happy, but if they can use it to make themselves look good. And this is why we have all of these problems today, because these selfish, abusive narcissists, they just want to look good. Can you imagine how much this world would change? How many thousands of lives would be saved every day? How much happier people would be if certain people would just stop trying to look good all the time? I mean, what does it matter? Shouldn't it be more important to worry about the people in this world who are suffering? People who are going through abuse. People who don't even have enough money to eat. Shouldn't that matter more than just looking good? what I would say to these narcissists out there is instead of looking good, why don't you just do something? Take action. But of course, no, they're not going to do that because all they care about is themselves. They feel nothing for anyone else. And that's how they can do what they do. And that's why society is the way that it is today. Because they genuinely don't care about anyone but themselves. But I am very grateful for YouTube and TikTok as well, for giving me these platforms where I can give you these motivational and inspirational messages that hopefully can improve things for you and to give you support. Yes, I'm very grateful for that. And also, it's given me this ability to raise money for this cause in Gaza. That's very helpful as well. And also how they support creators like Mr. Beast. That's what we need. But then also, it shouldn't be such a big display, in my opinion. I mean, yes, it's great for entertainment, and also we do have to consider that if Mr. Beast didn't turn it into a show, then he wouldn't have the funds to be able to do that anyway. So it makes sense. But for me, I like to help people and give things away without talking too much about it, because I don't like it to be all about me. To me, that's narcissistic. It's communal narcissism. When it's all about your actions of what you're doing and what you gave, rather than it being about the people that are in need. But I do appreciate what Mr. Beast is doing. I like his work. And I understand that it has to be entertainment in order for him to raise the funds. And if he wanted to, he could have done something else. He didn't have to give so much away to help people. So I think that's great, and I respect that. And I would like to congratulate Mr. Beast on reaching 300 million subscribers. That is an incredible achievement. But yeah, let me know what you think about what I've said. Let me know what you think about society today. Are you happy with it? Are you happy with the way things are? Because remember, this is meant to be a service for us. It's meant to be something that improves our lives. I mean, that was meant to be the whole purpose of it in the beginning. Otherwise, we might as well just all go off by ourselves. Mumamin, not sure how to pronounce that. Mumamin says, when you have been through stuff in your life, you become humbled and also more sympathetic. To those that go through similar or worse, you have that insight. Yeah, that's very true. The more things that we go through, of course, the more humble that we become. Now let's just come to visit me here. Show us pops up around the same time in each live video. Kitten Has Claws says, Mr. Beast is a YouTuber turned monster philanthropist billionaire. Is he a billionaire? From what I last saw, he's meant to receive about $100 million a year just from the YouTube ad revenue alone. But looking at his videos, he must give away around $100 million a year as well. I saw something from him where he said he's not rich because everything he receives, he invests it back in as well. He doesn't seem very flashy. Like, you never see his house or his cars or anything like that. The only time you see cars is when he's giving them away. But then also, it's good to have a balance, and it's normal to have our own image of who we are. And it's healthy to take pride and have satisfaction in yourself. If you have worked hard and you've earned a nice home, a nice car, there's nothing wrong in being proud of that. And people should compliment and praise you on that. You deserve it. You deserve the recognition. It doesn't mean that it has to be all about you, but I believe that there should be a balance, and we should reward hard work. This is the part when all the trolls start coming in now. First Nala pops up, and then the trolls start running in. But as a good example of what I've been speaking about in this video, there are a lot of hateful, angry people in the world today. And if there's one thing they hate more than anything else, it is empaths. They cannot stand an empath because you're everything that they're not. You're a real, genuine person. The reality is that most people today, they are miserable. They're not happy with themselves. They're not happy with their lives. They just pretend to be. They put on a smile for the camera, for Facebook or Instagram, or for their family photos. But deep down, they're dying inside. They're not really happy. And I'm not saying that because I don't want them to be happy. I'm just saying, well, that's the truth. That's just how things are. And it's usually because they're selfish, they're all about themselves. They're all about money and power rather than love and connection. Now let's trying to go out the door. What people need is gratitude. They need to be grateful for who they are and what they have, instead of constantly comparing themselves to other people who may have worked more harder and they have more. They need to stop comparing, stop scrolling through their social media, stop projecting their own self-hatred and just get a life. Clearly, it's more interesting for them to focus on people who are doing better, doing more, inspiring other people, rather than to put that focus on themselves and their own lives. It's like, you want to watch me and what I'm doing, what I'm saying. Why? Because that reflection of yourself and your own life and where you failed, it's too ugly to look at. Is that not how it is? Is that not the truth? I would say that it is every time. Whenever you see someone directing that hate towards you, when they're envious and jealous of you, it's because they hate themselves and their own lives. They can't stand to look at that reflection of themselves. So they project all of that hatred outwards. What they need to do is keep that hatred, that anger, where it is. Don't project it at me. Don't project it at someone else, to the live chat or the comment section. Accept that hatred belongs to you. That anger belongs to you. Why does it belong to you? Because you're angry at yourself and you hate yourself because you feel inadequate. That's just the truth. But you can tell these people that all you want. They're not going to wake up. They're just going to see it as an attack. They're going to get angry. But no, that's just something you've got to accept. If you want to change, if you want to improve, if you want to get better in your life, you have to accept your own emotions. Stop putting them onto someone else. Accept that those are your emotions. Those emotions belong to you. But this is a part of the problem with society today, is that a lot of people don't want to accept their emotions. They don't want to accept that they hate themselves. They don't want to accept that they're not good enough. who don't want to accept that someone like me can come along and be someone who they could only dream of becoming and achieving. Someone like me can come along and achieve something in just 1 month that would take them a lifetime. There's just people out there who don't want to accept that. When you're strong, you're powerful, you're confident, you work hard, you become something great in life, there's a lot of people out there who will want to see you dead. And even after you're dead, they're still not going to be satisfied. Because all of that hatred for themselves, it's directed outwards. They direct all of their self-hatred at you. And at the same time, they don't even exist. That person who's hating on you does not even exist. They're not even real. How could they be real if they can't even recognize their own emotions? They're not even connected to themselves. If they were connected to themselves and their own emotions, then they would likely say, okay, I feel insecure. I feel like you're a better person than I am. And I don't believe that I could ever be as great as you. That's what they would probably say if they were connected to themselves and their emotions. But of course they're not, so you're never going to hear that from them. But that's exactly how they feel inside. That's the mental process. They feel inadequate, so now they want to make you feel how they believe that you're making them feel. So if they feel worthless and insignificant, now they want to make you feel bad about yourself. They want to bring you down, they want to hurt you. They want to come with the hate, the negative comments, and you've got to recognize it actually says nothing about you. It says everything about them. They don't even seek you. They're just reflecting on this suppressed part of themselves that they don't like, that they can't accept, and then they're putting these emotions onto you. But it has nothing to do with you. And this is what narcissists are like, but there's nothing you can do. There's no point talking to them. It's like any time that you speak the truth or you try to hold them accountable, it's like you're holding up a mirror in front of them. And they're just like, no, just get that away. I don't want to see that. Well, as for us, it's the opposite. We wish that we could see a reflection of ourselves and who we actually are. But of course, they're never going to give you that. Instead, they're always going to be nitpicking and fault finding. But all you could be doing is you're not fault finding. You're just pointing out how they're behaving and how they're treating you. So you could just say to them, you're making offensive comments about me. You're putting me down. You're invalidating me. And then they take that as an attack. When no, you're actually just pointing out facts. You're pointing out things that they're actually doing. While you may just be hardworking, disciplined, successful. and they see that as an attack because it makes them feel inferior. When no, if you feel that way, then that's on you. Those are your own emotions that you need to attend to. Because if you were secure, if you were confident in yourself, then it wouldn't bother you. It wouldn't trigger you. So you need to check yourself. But of course, people who are mentally ill, they think there's nothing wrong with them. That's the whole point. And so they don't get help. Instead, they look for targets who they can blame and put down. They will do anything to remain asleep, gaslighting themselves, because the last thing they want to do is wake up. It's like if they wake up, they're going to wake up and see themselves. And they do not want to do that. They do not want to see themselves. But then also keep in mind that many of them do try to blend in as well. They try to act like everyone else. Well, I guess I shouldn't say everyone else these days, but they try to act normal. They try to act like they're on your side, they're your supporter. They're there for you. But they're really not. And they're just waiting to see you fall. They're waiting at the bottom for you. It's like you're up high and they're waiting down at the bottom for you to come down. But once you begin to heal, it really turns you off. It really repels you away. It's like it's hard to be around people who they are just absolutely reeking. And I mean reeking like if it was a smell. It's like such a stench of self-hatred. It's like, PU. I can tell, that you can't stand yourself, you hate yourself. But don't take that out on me. You just got to accept it. And it's something we all should do. If we ever feel insecure, if we ever feel like we're not good enough. Of course, before I began the YouTube channel 6.5 years ago, I didn't know anything about this disorder. I had to accept that I don't know anything. I'm a beginner. I'm learning. If I didn't do that, then I wouldn't have learned anything at all. Because why would I need to learn anything if I already know everything? And even now, I keep getting better because I'm still a student. I'm still learning. So you see, that's really the best position to have, is instead of thinking in your mind that you're perfect and nothing's wrong with you, and instead, your fingers just constantly pointing at someone else and how something's wrong with them. A much stronger position to have is to put that finger inwards at yourself. Just point it back at yourself. Take accountability. That's how you will learn and grow and become better. And actually, what you're trying to do to the other person by pointing the finger at them and trying to make them insecure and make them hate themselves, That's not going to work if that other person accepts it and they're like, all right, maybe you have a point. I will work on this. I will become better. I will grow. So it's not going to have the intended effect. But that message is more for you, my supporters, rather than the haters, because of course, haters, trolls, they can't self-reflect. If you think you don't want to look at them, you don't want to hear them, they do not want to look at themselves. They do not want to hear themselves. That's the last thing they want to do. They can look at you all day. The last thing they want to do is look at themselves. And yeah, of course, that's what we do. We constantly look at ourselves to improve, to become better. And they're very jealous of that. So while we're looking at ourselves and trying to improve, they're pointing out everything that's wrong with us. But there's never any sense from those who are mentally ill, those who have a disorder. You have to treat them the same as people that you might see at a mental asylum. It's the same thing. You don't take them seriously. You don't listen to them. You have to remember that they're messed up in the mind. They're mentally ill. So you don't see them as real people. Don't expect them to respond the way that a normal, healthy person would. Because they're mentally ill, so of course they're not going to respond like a normal person. Instead, you're just going to get all of these insults, these personal attacks, these put-downs, which really says nothing about you and everything about them. Because remember, that hate, that negativity, that low vibration, that negative energy is being emitted from them. It's coming from them. And like I said, they reek of it, they stink. So what you got to do is kind of like, if someone farts, just walk away from it. Just don't stay around it, because it's going to keep stinking. And sometimes they may try to cover their stench with perfume. But then over time, that sweet smelling perfume begins to fade away, and then you smell what they're actually like. So walk away from it, go somewhere else. If you don't want to breathe in that stench. But I would like to say that Nala is smelling very nice today. I don't know what type of perfume you're using here. It's toxic, it's harmful. Think of it like a foul smell. Think of it like poison. Of course, if you're around it, it's going to harm you. It's going to make you sick. It's like bacteria. It's like a disease. You can't be around it. If something's bad, you don't give your attention to it. You don't stick around and let it affect you. You avoid it. Get away from it. Yeah, me and Nala, we are up here at this high-rise apartment today. I like being higher up. Although I do feel quite closed in with the sides here. But I don't know, maybe it will get better with time. But yeah, that's the only thing you can do. When you're around something that smells bad, something toxic, harmful, poison, you don't try and ingest it. You don't take it in so that you can figure out what it is or analyze it. If you do that, it's going to harm you. It's going to affect you. The only answer, the only thing to do is to distance yourself from it. Because that's the only way you're going to feel better. If you go deeper into it, you're going to feel worse. Same thing with these haters, these trolls, narcissists, toxic people in society. You go deeper into it, you engage more, then there's going to be more harm on you. It's going to affect you more. Because they're mentally ill, they have a disease. And it's affecting them, it's causing them suffering. So if they come around you, it's going to affect you too. You've got to start having headaches, you won't be able to think clearly, you'll get a tight throat, anxiety, depression, insomnia. It's going to have negative effects on you because they're toxic, they're harmful, they're not good. And spending more time around something that's toxic and not good is not going to make things better. It's going to make it even worse. It's only going to get worse. It's not going to get better. It will only get better for you if you walk away, if you leave it behind. It's just sometimes they make us believe that they're good and that we just have to do something with them, or they try to make us think something is wrong with us. You just got to say no. Just recognize how you feel, how it's affecting you, and just notice how you feel when you walk away and when you leave it alone. But these toxic trolls, they just want to spread their disease. They want to spread their germs. They want you to smell their farts. You're just going to hold your nose and say, nope, I'm not going to do that. And then walk away. All right. I'm going to go and get something to eat, do some more work. Now it's just resting over there. I'd just like to thank you all for joining me on another Chosen Ones live video. I appreciate you all. And if you found it helpful, you can give it a thumbs up down below. Donations, you can go to my PayPal. It is paypal.me/Narc Survivor. I appreciate all donations, no matter how small. If you'd like to book a one-on-one coaching session with me, you can go to my website. It is narcsurvivor.co.uk. And also you can follow me on Instagram. It is Narc Survivor YouTube. Thank you all for joining me on another Chosen Ones live video. I appreciate you all, and I look forward to speaking with you in another live video very soon.